Welcome, explorers. My name is Zia, and we are happy to have you join us here today for this virtual explorer experience where you'll get a glimpse of what is happening around your beloved Balboa Park, along with Balboa Park Cultural Partnerships Parkwide Communications Director, Michael Warburton. Let's check it out.
Hello, welcome explorers to Balboa Park. In this virtual explorer experience exclusively for you, we want to share with you some of the new things that are coming in 2021 across the park. So let's go. We are here outside the construction for the San Diego Zoo's new Sanford Children's Zoo. Now, we are really looking forward to this huge expansion, $69 million, many years in the making. And this is going to be a huge area. So when does it open? So there's a new Komodo dragon area as well as hummingbird area that should be opening late spring, and then the whole children's zoo is slated to be open in October, which is Kids Free Month. The whole exhibit is supposed to include 4 different exploration areas, and it's supposed to be really awesome. So we can't wait to go explore. All right, here we are at the famous Morton Bay Fig Tree here in Balboa Park. Massive tree, and it is actually one of the largest Morton Bay fig trees recorded here in California. So very important to save this tree, make sure that it stays healthy. In 1989, it was fenced all the way around to protect the roots and keep people from trampling the roots. What's really exciting is in 2021, a new observation deck will get you really close and under that canopy. This is being done by Friends of Balboa Park, and you might have seen a virtual explorer experience already on this project. But take a look at what's going on. It's exciting, new railing all around, and this should be open by late spring. And here we are at the San Diego Natural History Museum, or the NAT. And while there's nothing necessarily new to see in 2021, they are renovating the 4th floor gallery. So when you do visit this year, you'll see some construction going on. Have no fear, that gallery is supposed to reopen in 2022. Something you may have noticed if you visited the park in the past year or so is the B. Evenson fountain was not working. And the city has done an excellent job in repairing and renovating the fountain. They've actually laid 600 feet of pipe in order to fix it. And now it's just awesome. Its glory is amazing with how high it can shoot. So come on by and have lunch by the fountain. All right, so this may not be very exciting unless you work in the park. This project here is a water and sewer main replacement that has been needed for, well, about 100 years. So it's finally happening. And very soon they'll be pouring new concrete in the El Prado area that you see here. And then the next phases will be down Village Place and down Pan American Way. But very great project. Thank you to the city for fixing up the infrastructure here in the park. All right, continuing through the park, here we are at the Timken Museum. Now, because of COVID and the closures, the folks at the Timken felt that this was a great time to do maintenance and repairs on things and renovate in a general way. So they're busy painting, finishing floors, and doing all the things that are easier when there are no visitors around. They are expected to finish this project before summer, so as summer rolls around, we'll be able to visit the Timken again. So we're very excited for the Mingei International Museum to reopen. This has been a multi-year project, huge project. The entire building is being renovated top to bottom, 3 levels. The lower level is supposed to be a very cool plaza area, and there's also a new indoor-outdoor theater space. Here you can really see the theater area coming together. And what's really cool is it's expected to be both indoor and outdoor with glass panels that are in that big opening that you see. And then if you look sort of up at the top, the second level there, that walkway up there will actually be accessible once again. So very excited to have that open. They're targeting summer 2021. So come on down and check it out. Here we are at the House of Pacific Relations International Cottages. They're building 5 new structures for 9 different countries. So a total of 32 countries will be represented here at the House of Pacific Relations. Should be done pretty soon. The construction's almost done. So I expect this to be open and available whenever we're able to have festivities again. Here we are in the beautiful Palisades Plaza, recently renovated, and it is amazing. So when you come to the park, if you need a place to sit and relax, come down here and hang out. But a lot of things are happening down here too that are new for 2021, and one of them is right behind me over here. The San Diego Automotive Museum. The entire outside has been renovated, refreshed, new paint. There are amazing details that you see in the building. All of these original details that are from the 1935 exposition. So with the Automotive Museum, one of the main things that's being done right now is a new tile refurbishment on the front of the museum. So there were some beautiful murals made out of tile during the 1935 Expo, and they disappeared pretty much right after the exposition, and it's been blank ever since. So the Committee of 100 has worked on a project along with the city to replace those murals, those tile murals. It should be really beautiful when it's done, and the work's underway right now. Part of the restoration of Palisades Plaza included this brand new tram stop. And if you haven't ridden the tram to get around the park, I highly recommend it. You can park over at Inspiration Point and ride the tram to all the points of interest inside the park. All right, so down just across the way from the Automotive Museum, we have Starlight Bowl. So this place has been closed for many, many years, and a group of volunteers really passionate about theater and about the bowl have come together. They're called Save Starlight, and they've been working on renovating the theater. It's going to be a multi-phase project, and the first part of it will be renovating the upper part of the theater, as well as having a concession stand. And that upper part of the theater will be sort of an intimate music space where people can come and hang out. And then the next phase would be renovating and opening the whole theater. So that would be pretty cool. Looking forward to it. I'm expecting that sometime this year, at least that upper portion or that first phase will be open. And here we are on our last stop of our What's New walking tour for 2021. The future home of Comic-Con Museum. Yay! So this has been long awaited, of course, and people knew it was coming. Well, it will finally be here. Expect it to open right around July or so when Comic-Con happens, if not maybe a little before. But exciting stuff happening. They do have a multi-phase plan to renovate the whole place top to bottom, but they are starting with some things like a cool education center, an outdoor space. So some of the things that also make me really excited about Comic-Con Museum is they have a 3 museum approach. So they want to have a museum by day where people can visit and see some cool stuff. They have a museum at night, which will have social activities and gaming and things of that nature. And then a museum everywhere. So virtual tours and ways to connect virtually. So really excited for Comic-Con to come on board. And with that, thanks for joining us on this walking tour. And let's go to the question and answer.
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it was really fun going around the park with you and seeing these places in person. Especially with things being locked down for a little bit, we really didn't get to see the status of a lot of these projects in person, and it was nice to see how far along they've come. Especially the cottages at House of Pacific Relations. Wow, I didn't realize that they were so close to completion. But yeah, it's very exciting, and I'm really looking forward to just answering questions for folks.
So one of the first questions, how will the work around the fig tree keep people from climbing the tree?
Ah, I like that question. Um, the they put a lot of effort into designing the deck so that one, it would be far enough away from the branches where people wouldn't really be able to reach, um, but also to allow people to get up and close or a lot closer to the tree, really see the details of the tree and the roots and so forth without damaging the roots or encroaching on the roots. This process involved, from what I understand, sort of like a sonar process to learn where all the roots were, so that when they created the pieces underneath the deck, it wasn't creating pressure in certain places and on all of those things. So it was really done in a mindful way. Sorry, it was a dog in the background. It's really done in a mindful way to really protect the tree, but also bring people closer to the tree. Our dog got his foot stuck in a blanket or something. Um, the projected time for that project to be completed is Arbor Day. Uh, so just in time, hopefully for Arbor Day, we can have festivities of some kind, whether it's virtual or in person, to be determined. But certainly, springtime here is when Arbor Day will happen, and knock on wood, some projections show that museums and things will reopen late spring or start to be able to reopen late spring. So certainly, if you're coming down for museum visitation, pop on by and check it out.
We did have a question about that. When do we anticipate opening to the public, especially for indoor museums?
Yeah, so the governor ended the stay-at-home order that was regional, so we're no longer as a county lumped in with all of Southern California. So that brought us back to the purple tier. Purple tier means that outdoor museums can operate, so places like the Japanese Friendship Garden, as well as the zoo, and the zoo will reopen tomorrow. Japanese Friendship Garden is already open. Um, and then the next tier, so the red tier, is where we have to get to allow indoor museums to open. Now, some museums are open from a retail standpoint. If they have a shop, you can go and still support the shop. But wandering through the museum can't happen until we hit that red tier. And so, as I kind of mentioned earlier, we're trying to model all different scenarios. And right now, it looks like potentially we could hit that red tier and be able to reopen in some capacity, uh, probably that early April timeframe. So right around late spring.
Are there any plans to rebuild the Honeymoon Bridge over the Palm Canyon?
Are there plans? Sure. Yes. The Honeymoon Bridge is actually a very cool thing, and if you next time you go to the park, if you are by the restrooms across from or next to the organ, if you kind of look in the little canyon there, you'll see these stone abutments where there used to be a bridge, and there's an effort underway potentially from Friends of Balboa Park to replace or rebuild that Honeymoon Bridge. And the story goes, I'm not sure if it's true, that a couple, each one of the couple would stand on each end of the bridge and meet in the center or something like that. Very cute, but there are folks who are working on trying to bring that project back. So let's hope it can move forward. Yeah.
Is there a general timing for the new international houses to open to the public?
So the opening of the cottages still hinges on this change as far as COVID status and so forth, and also House of Pacific Relations as a nonprofit organization, they have to make some determinations on how they can safely have visitors come back. Um, from what I observed and from what I'm hearing, the cottages are far enough along that when the timing happens where we might be able to have visitation to the cottages, that the new ones would potentially be able to open at that time. Um, so that's great. So one of the things I really miss about the park is how just about every weekend there was a lawn program from one of the countries because it was music and dancing and food, and it's such a great time. And I really miss that.
Yeah, especially the food. Someone here saying, "Thank you for hosting this. I loved hearing the updates. What kind of pup is in the background?"
That's Finley. He's a rescue. We don't know how old he is, but he's sort of multi-pooish, if that's a way to describe him. Uh, yep, poor little guy. He gets his paws stuck sometimes in the funniest places.
And continuing with the houses over the international cottages, what are the new countries that are being added?
Oh, so there's several. I know House of Mexico. I believe House of Philippines, and there are many, many more. I think that the best way to go about that is because I can't remember them off the top of my head. Would be to go to the House of Pacific Relations website and check out what's going on for the new houses. But definitely, there's House of Mexico included in that, and I believe House of Philippines. Um, as because when we were walking through, we saw some information about it on the fence actually.
Do you know if there will be any renovation to the Botanical building?
Yes, there will be. And that's a long-term project. So right now too, you'll know that the Botanical Building has been closed for many months, and this is related also to COVID, not because of any kind of work going on. Um, the pathways are very narrow inside the Botanical Building, and so having a traffic flow that was socially distanced, it was just decided by the city to just keep it closed. But yeah, so the Balboa Park Conservancy, in particular, is working on a plan. They have some plans drawn up. They've been working with the city on how to not only go about funding the project, but how to complete it and get it done. The plan right now is to actually restore the Botanical Building to having facades and so forth that are more historically representative. So as it would have been back when it was built at the beginning.
Yeah, there's some really amazing photos of it at the History Center. If you guys, explorers, are ever curious, they have an awesome archive online. Another question that it says, I'm sure you said it, and I should know, but when does the automotive tile get completed?
Yeah, I don't have a timeline on the completion. Um, and it's a bit interesting because the age of the building, and there are some unknowns in its construction. Hearing from one of the people at the Committee of 100 a few days ago, they actually had to remove some of the stucco to understand what the structure behind it was like, so that when they hang the tile, they don't just fall off again. So there are things like that. There's some discovery phases that have to happen, which of course add to the timeline of any project, and that's typically true of most things in the park, because the park is an older complex. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to get until you reveal things.
And this question is in relevance to the Auto Museum. What are the appropriate ages for Auto Museum? Would a 5-year-old car genius have fun?
A 5-year-old car genius would actually absolutely have fun. And a 5-year-old car genius would have their mind blown by the Louis Matter car in particular. It's a car that went back and forth across the country without stopping. You could spend just an hour looking at that thing and all the really funny contraptions and way that it was engineered. But absolutely, Automotive Museum for kids in particular. There are motorcycles, old cars, more modern cars, all kinds of things to see.
Are there any plans to do anything on the East Mesa?
On the East Mesa, this comes up every once in a while, and during some community planning efforts that have gone on, East Mesa seems to be part of conversations more often these days, which is kind of exciting. Actually, it's a fantastic opportunity to have things that even could be temporary activity spaces or things of that nature. One that comes to mind is there was a group who was working on what's called placemaking, which is activities in spaces, public spaces. And East Mesa was actually identified by that working group as a potential place to look at moving forward for some placemaking.
And is there anything happening to the Museum of Us at the moment?
They are closed, so not a ton going on. I will tell you that they are working on actually a really fun exhibit for their rotunda. We just heard an update the other day where they're having their old sign that said Museum of Man in the rotunda with a little bit of an exhibition just about the changes and evolution of the museum. So that's kind of exciting. But yeah, they're tr- pushing ahead on a number of things such as exhibitions. They're also reimagining their membership program and how they are supported and all kinds of things. So yeah, very very exciting for them in that they have sort of a new vision on everything that they're doing.
When will the Oregon concerts restart? I know they're doing them online, but when will they restart on site?
Yeah, it's really funny. So Raul, the civic organist, he's really funny. Like he's kind of secretive on when he's going to record them. They're still happening, and he does them at the organ, obviously. But sometimes they'll be like on a Thursday evening or some unusual time. But they always post them live on Sundays at 2 p.m., which is the time the normal concerts would have happened. So if you go to the Spreckles Organ Society site, they always post them at 2 p.m. Um, this is something that is sort of at the mercy of, again, county, city, and the tiers, and how the city feels that it's appropriate to be socially distanced at that venue. Um, in particular, performance venues, I think of the Old Globe. They haven't had an in-person performance since March, and it's been really tough for performance venues. Indoor ones will have a more difficult time than outdoor. So that was a non-answer as an answer. I can't really predict when the county and city will say yes, it's okay to attend again. But I love the fact that Spreckles has just done a fabulous job continuing to produce those every Sunday.
Do you know if there are any plans for the snack bar that's by the question says Junior Theater, but I'm assuming it's Casa del Prado.
Ah, what they're talking about is what's called the Spanish, or sorry, the Village Grill. So it's over by Spanish Village, and actually right behind it is all that construction for the zoo. So yes, and do I know much about it? Not really. So the city, I can tell you this sort of the last things that I know, and that is the city had put out a request for proposal from restaurateurs and people who might be able to take that and sort of refurbish it because it's in need of some work, and turn it into so keep it as a food stand or a food and beverage place. So um, I haven't heard any updates as far as if it's been awarded to a particular group or what its future will be, other than the fact that that was the plan the last time I heard about it. I love these questions. This is great.
When will the city repair work around the Prado be completed?
So we got word that Tuesday's the second, I think, right? That the second is when they would start pouring the concrete down El Prado. Um, so that said, for at least a month, it will be closed to only pedestrian traffic. So no vehicles, people wheeling carts, or vendors and things. Just it'll be closed down to pedestrians. The arcades on the side, so the areas where the arches are, those will be open and available for people to walk down. So even though El Prado might be closed with the new concrete pour that is happening next week, you'll still be able to get through that area.
And there's an interesting question here. Um, is there a thought to a skate park? Tony Hawk involvement.
uh, you know, uh, as a former and sometimes attempting skater, I think a skate park would be awesome in the park. Haven't heard any plans for one though. Um, I don't know of any city that has such a high concentration of skate parks. Every time I turn around, it seems like there's a new, even like neighborhood skate park popping up around San Diego. So I would love a skate park in the park, but there's some not too far from there actually, even Barrio Logan and other places.
And then there's a question relating to skateboarding here too. How to avoid skateboard damage, especially around the Fleet Fountain.
I love that. Uh, well, there are signs around there that prohibit skating and biking on and around the fountain. Uh, that's where I can basically leave that. Essentially, rangers will police the area. You know, and in some ways, isn't the whole point of like grinding damaging your trucks? Speaking to the skaters in particular, that's the fun part. Anyway.
Back to the Automotive Museum. What does the new mural on the Automotive Museum depict?
Yeah, so there's three, and that was the California building for the Expo in 1935. and they depict different scenes of California on the three different murals. And it's really what's really nice is they're made out of ceramic tile, and so the murals are made of many tiles. Really, really cool. Yeah, and they had put a vinyl representation of them up, and I think that's what was shown in the picture in the tour was a year ago, a year and a half ago. The vinyl banners were put up there just so that they could see what it would look like and so forth before they committed to the actual tile work.
Is the Starlight Bowl ambition to also provide live theater as well as music?
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I mean, most San Diegans who had ever attended something at Starlight, remember those moments of having the actors stop, almost like a frozen Zoom. But uh, yeah, ultimately, what I've been hearing is that it's looking to be a multi-use type of venue in that regard. So I would be hopeful that yes, live performance, not just music, but all kinds of performance would come back and look up the history on the Starlight Bowl. There's some amazing stuff that's happened there, like WWE wrestling matches, and like I think the Rolling Stones played there. Like amazing venue for all kinds of reasons. So
Yeah.
I'd love to bring that back.
Do you know if there are any plans for more restaurants in the park?
Yeah. So other than the Village Grill, which we talked about, you know, it's something that I think a lot of folks would like to see. Um, Given that there aren't a lot of new structures being developed, it sort of limits the ability or capability to have brand new restaurants. So that said, a lot of the institutions now have cafes or food outlets of varying types, right? And then we also have a variety of foods. So we have Panama 66, for example, which is very farm to table, local cuisine, craft, lots of great craft beer and wine. Um, you have World Beat Cafe, which is all vegan and vegetarian and amazing food. And they have a big garden out back where they grow some of the stuff that goes into some of their dishes seasonally. There are, if you look for them, there are some great eating options. Even Toby's at the golf course over there has a great view of downtown. Um, so there's stuff in the park if you look for it. And then if we can enhance it in any way, like during the summertime, we've had food trucks in the park to give people options, those types of things. Yeah, but yes, always looking for great ways to have more food. I like food.
Yeah. Are there any plans to do the Tuesday through Thursday night summer concerts at the Oregon Pavilion?
Yeah, so a lot of the things that we know and love that used to happen pre-pandemic, those aren't necessarily planning to go away. They're just kind of on hold right now, right? So it comes back to the city and the county allowing people to gather for performances. For sure, the city would love to get back to the programmatic side of using the Oregon Pavilion. I agree. Some of those are amazing. One of my favorites is when like the organ when Raul is also in concert with a band like for like Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. It's just very fun. But yeah, so I don't expect it to go away. It's just on hold for now.
Yeah, a lot of things have been paused. um, Someone is asking, where is the World Beat Cafe, and are there exhibits in that round where the World Beat Center building is?
I'm glad you asked. That's where the cafe is. The cafe is inside the World Beat Center, and there are exhibits. They actually have a small museum area within the building. They also have a large stage. They have throughout the year when there's not a pandemic. Uh, there's a ton of music events and things like that that you can attend. The cafe right now is actually open, I think, Friday through Sunday um, for takeout, and they did have a small outdoor dining area. So now that we're in purple tier, outdoor dining is allowed. Yeah, I definitely recommend like checking out World Beat. It's a really really cool place, and check their website for the calendar of events too.
Yeah. They have really awesome food there.
Yes.
Completely worth it. This question's a little bit funny to me, but will there be police horsemen in the park?
Police horsemen. So I can't confirm or deny. I have no idea. In the past, there have been, in particular, some folks might remember that the zoo would have mounted security patrols in the summertime, and those were actually private companies that were hired by the zoo to patrol. So I don't see necessarily mounted San Diego PD coming through the park in the future, but you never know. They're certainly mounted in a way as far as using Polaris Rangers and other quads and things like that. Not exactly a horse, but they definitely ride through the park sometimes.
Will Comic Con Museum be part of the Explorer Pass?
Ah, I was waiting for that question. Uh, we're hopeful. We the Balboa Park Cultural Partnership, who we're the organization that manages the Explorer Pass. We're a nonprofit, and we do it on behalf of the museums. Um, we've been talking with the Comic Con International folks as far as including it. So I can't announce anything because nothing's final, but I believe there is intent to at some point include Comic Con in the past. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll make big announcements about it for you all if and when that happens.
Will there be late hours at museums and food trucks on Fridays this summer?
I'm hoping. You know, pandemic is going to drive some of that decision, and then also the museums, whether or not they're back to a capacity from a staffing standpoint and things like that, to be able to maintain hours that are longer than a typical day for them. Um, if I polled people across the park right now, that a lot of them would say yes. Let's try to get back to doing that. So there is not anybody who's saying no, that's not fun. Nobody wants to do that. Like it'd be great to really bring that back. So similar to I think the music and the bands at the Oregon Pavilion, think of it as being on hold until we know for sure that it can be done safely.
Yeah. And I don't think this is happening, but are the movies on the side of the Museum of Art coming back?
Yeah, so traditionally in August, the San Diego Museum of Art would do the screen on the green, they called it, right? And they obviously weren't able to do it this year because of the pandemic. Um, but that's another program that the Museum of Art really enjoys putting on for folks. And so they would look to continue it, uh, at least at this point, once people are able to gather again. Yeah, that's another fun one too. It typically happened on Thursday nights, so the evening might change, but it'd be great to bring that back.
But to end this Explorer experience, what are you excited about? What is the one thing, the renovation or upgrade that you're like, oh man, I can't wait to see what this turns out like?
I go to Comic Con every year, and that seems like an obvious answer, just because I love the blending of so much pop culture and everything that represents. And so that's the easy answer. But for me, honestly, I'm blown away every time I look at renderings and then see the actual work being done at Minge. And the way that they've envisioned that space is totally brand new. That lower level, that plaza level, they're thinking to create that as a free experience for people, that almost becomes another living room type hangout place for people in the park. That's awesome. I love the cafe that they have too. Amazing mochas. If you haven't had one, that's coming back. But also the fact that they're reopening that upper level and give you a new vantage point of Plaza de Panama. um, that's amazing, and the ability to use that indoor outdoor theater area. um, there's so many things that you can do with that. So I'm excited for seeing how they program that as well. And those guys, they're not sitting twiddling their thumbs right now. Like they're really busy having exhibitions at places around the city and the county. They have a lot of virtual programming that they're doing, and they actually we did a virtual explorer experience. Their collection of Maneki Neku cats was at Japanese Friendship Garden. So they're still really active and busy, and they're chomping at the bit to get back in to the museum and program and bring people back.
Please check out their like the individual museum websites. They're offering so much virtual experiences and things that you can do from home, even for kids, adults alike. Really fun stuff. I know that we didn't answer all the questions that are here, but if you would like to follow up, bring our an email address, exploreengagement@bpcp.org. You can send us any questions there. We'll be happy to reach back and answer them for you. Michael, thank you so much for joining us, for taking the time today. I know you're pretty busy.
No,
And
this is awesome. And I love the Explorer group. You know, you all love the park, and you show it because you're in the park. You know things, right? You're so involved with what's happening in the organizations, and so it's important for me. I feel like it's so important to reach back out to you and just tell you what's happening and try to give you some inside scoop if I can. So thanks for letting me do it, Zia.
thank you also, Explorers, for all your support throughout this past few months and also for joining us today. And also, just remember that if you want a little bit more Balboa Park content, including live chat and videos from across the park, you can visit culturalpartnership.org/updates. That's culturalpartnership.org/updates. We hope you enjoyed this Explorer experience, and we hope to have many more with you. Thank you so much, all.
Thanks, everybody.